Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today we got our first unexpected glimpse at the trailer for the behind-the-scenes documentary centered on HBO's Harry Potter reboot. The documentary, titled Finding Harry, The Craft Behind the Magic, is set to debut on HBO April 5th. I already made a video announcing and discussing my thoughts on the documentary in general, so if you haven't seen that already, go and check it out. However, I didn't really break it down, and there's a lot to unpack here. Also, quick note to my regular viewers, I know we've been covering a lot of HBO stuff lately, but rest assured I'll be posting some regular lore videos shortly. Anyway, hidden inside this behind-the-scenes trailer are some of the clearest looks we've had yet at the series, so let's break it down, in no particular order. Ravenclaw is finally fixed. Let's start with one of the biggest and honestly most satisfying details in the entire trailer. For the first time, we get a clear look at the new house crests, and Ravenclaw, it's an eagle, not a raven. Why is this important, you might ask? Well, because it corrects one of the film's most debated deviations from canon. If you don't remember, the movies replaced Ravenclaw's eagle with a raven, despite the books clearly establishing the eagle as the house symbol. Turning the envelope over, his hand trembling, Harry saw a purple wax seal bearing a coat of arms, a lion, an eagle, a badger, and a snake surrounding a large letter H. In the films, the house is represented by a raven, and the house colours are blue and silver. But in reality, the real Ravenclaw, the original Ravenclaw, and the book Ravenclaw is represented by the colours blue and bronze, with an eagle serving as its mascot. Therefore, the presence of the eagle on the house crest is a very encouraging step in the right direction. We also get a glimpse of the Slytherin crest, featuring what looks to be a more detailed, winding snake design that feels slightly more intricate and refined than what we saw in the films. Ron versus Draco. The next interesting little tidbit actually comes from one of the promotional images for the trailer, where we can see Gryffindor celebrating a Quidditch win. Now, there's a lot going on in this shot, but if you pay close enough attention, you'll notice that Ron has a few marks on his face. And if you know the books, that lines up perfectly with the scene where Ron physically attacks Draco after the Quidditch match. "You're in luck, Weasley. Potter's obviously spotted some money on the ground," said Malfoy. Ron snapped. Before Malfoy knew what was happening, Ron was on top of him, wrestling him to the ground. Neville hesitated, then clambered over the back of his seat to help. This is a small detail, but a great one. Harry's eyes, still not green. Another small detail I noticed in the promotional image, and one that might disappoint some fans, is that Harry's eyes are indeed blue and not green. This image shows it clear as day. When the teaser trailer dropped last week, there was quite a bit of debate around this, with many fans insisting that his eyes looked green in certain shots. But I'd just like to say on record, I never saw it. And now, with this new promotional image, it seems pretty definitive. No more ambiguity. Now, is this a huge deal? Not really. But it is one of those details that's pretty clearly established in the books. Harry having green eyes is mentioned multiple times, and it's also tied directly to his resemblance to his mother. Honestly, as long as Lily's eyes match Harry's, then we aren't going to have a problem. This brings me to another general observation about the new Harry. He's got shorter hair. And the obvious advantage of this is that his scar is way more visible this time around. In the original films, the scar was sometimes partially obscured depending on how his hair was styled, or even shifted slightly in position between scenes. Here, it looks like they're treating it with a bit more consistency, making sure it's clearly defined and easy to see. And that matters because the scar is such an iconic part of Harry's identity. It's one of the first things people notice about him, both in the story and visually as an audience. King's Cross. Now, this is more of a structural detail, but it's still important. According to the film slate held in front of the Hogwarts Express, it's likely we won't get to see King's Cross at platform 9 3/4 until episode 2. If true, that would mean a slower start, more time spent in the Muggle world, and more build-up before Hogwarts. And this would actually line much more closely with the books. This is a strong sign that the series is taking their time with the material in order to stay faithful. The Great Hall. One of the things they show the most in this behind-the-scenes trailer is the Great Hall, and this is the first time we really get a proper look at it in action. And the first thing that stood out to me is the scale, because it genuinely looks massive. Even compared to the films, which already made the Great Hall feel grand, this version somehow feels bigger. It also doesn't feel entirely new. This is of course just speculation, but it appears to be a careful blend, part film version, part Hogwarts Legacy style design, with additional layers of detail built on top. In this way, the show appears to be building on the original films, expanding what was already there instead of starting from scratch. And this brings me to my next point: real sets. We've come a long way since 2001, and in a technologically advanced era, it would be far too easy to use CGI for everything, especially with the advent of AI and the overabundance of talented digital artists who can create entire environments from scratch. But that's not what they're doing here. Instead, it looks like they're deliberately choosing the harder route, building real sets, using practical effects, and grounding the world in something tangible. And that decision matters because no matter how advanced CGI becomes, there's still a massive difference between something that looks real and something that actually exists in physical space. Actors interact with it differently, light behaves differently, the camera captures it differently, and as a result, the audience feels it differently. That's why so many of the most iconic scenes from the original films still hold up today. They were built, not just rendered, and it seems like HBO understands that. And this brings me to my next point: animatronics. In terms of practical, tangible, physical designs, there's no better example than animatronics. And in the trailer, we get a clear look at what appears to be an animatronic owl, and a glimpse of another animatronic creature as well. Not sure what it is yet, maybe Norberta? Again, this is something the original films actually did extremely well. They relied heavily on practical creature work, most notably with characters like Forks, who was brought to life using these same methods. And the result, even now, years later, those moments still feel incredibly real. When you use these things in place of CGI, it feels like there's a real weight to them, a presence. And this helps the actors as well, because when you use a real animatronic prop, when a creature is physically there on set, actors have something real to react to. Lighting interacts with it naturally, and subtle imperfections actually make it feel more alive. This is just another nod to the original films that feels right. Diagon Alley. In the trailer and promotional images associated with it, we also get a proper look at Diagon Alley, specifically a clearer view of multiple storefronts all in one shot. In this moment, you can make out at least 3 shops side by side: the Owl Shop, a new storefront called Herbage and Seed, and another called Adeline's Clothes. While the Owl Emporium is pulled directly from the books, locations like Herbage and Seed and Adeline's Clothes don't appear to be named in the original text. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because Diagon Alley, even in the books, is described as a bustling, crowded street filled with all kinds of magical storefronts, many of which we never actually get to see or explore in detail. Potions. We also get a quick look at the potions classroom, and honestly, it looks great. For context, here's an image of it next to the potions class in the films. Very dark, very candlelit, lots of shadows. It's got a classic, moody dungeon feel you'd expect. Nothing too crazy here in terms of new information, but it's just nice to actually see it brought to life, and it already feels pretty immersive and on tone with how the books describe it. Character details. To conclude the video, let's run through a few quick but interesting character observations from the trailer. Draco Malfoy. At one point we see Draco walking among his peers, and what I immediately noticed is how much taller he is than the other kids. Now, in the books, Draco isn't really described as particularly tall, but he also isn't described as short, so I guess we'll let this one slide. Hermione. In another shot, there's a really subtle detail involving Hermione and Parvati that might hint at a broader shift in how magic is portrayed. If you watch closely, they're not just flicking their wands, they're actually using both hands, with more movement and intention behind the spellcasting. This is a significant departure from the original films, where it was typically just one-handed. It's a quick shot, but it did stand out to me. Who knows what sort of wand choreography they have in store for us in the new series. Dean Thomas. We also get what appears to be our first look at Dean Thomas, who hadn't appeared in any of the trailers or promo photos up until now. Seamus Finnegan. And finally, Seamus Finnegan appears a bit smaller, similar to how he was portrayed in the films. Not a huge deal, but an interesting little visual carryover. Notably, Leo Early, who's taking on the role of Seamus, is only 7 years old, about half the age of the towering Locks. So hopefully we don't get too many shots with them standing next to each other. Anyway, that about sums up my initial findings of the trailer. With the full-length doc coming April 5th, you can be sure that there will be a lot more to unpack as we move forward. If you enjoy the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.